I'm State Senator Ed Kennedy, and I'd like to welcome you to the 5th edition of the Beacon Hill Buzz. I'm pleased to have as my guest today Tom Sannicandro, who is the Director of the Massachusetts Association of Community Colleges. Tom,
hey,
thanks for being here.
Thank you, Senator. It's great to be here.
Why don't we start with you just telling us a little bit about your background and what it is that your agency does.
Sure. So I'm Tom Sannicandro. I was originally trained as a lawyer, and I spent most of my career actually as a corporate attorney. And at one point I got engaged in politics and ran for office, and was a member of the Massachusetts legislature in the House for 12 years. And during that time I was able to be chair of the Joint Committee on Higher Education. And that's, I was engaged in education before, and was sort of a lot in the K-12 system, and then I've gone on to get some other advanced degrees besides a law degree, and I really learned about the transformation that happens in higher education, and particularly being chair and seeing the things that our community colleges and our public colleges and universities are doing and the changes they make really got me engaged in that. And I'm still obviously very engaged and passionate about what higher education can do. So the organization now that I'm the director of is the Association for Community Colleges, the Massachusetts Association for Community Colleges, and we represent the 15 community colleges here in Massachusetts. They're regional entities. They're all across the state, from the Berkshires to Cape Cod. And what we do for them is we work with the legislature and the administration to get what's best for the students that we represent. So that's it, and it's been a lot of fun. I've only been there since April this year.
Okay.
So I'm still learning a lot, but I'm really excited to be there and excited to work for the students that attend these colleges.
And you have a board that's comprised of the presidents?
Exactly. The
okay.
15 community college presidents are who I report to.
Okay. And how often do they meet?
So typically it's about a little less than once a month. I think we met last in June because the summer is kind of a time for them to recharge. But we're right at it in the next few weeks. We have a lot of activities coming up with the presidents in the next few weeks.
Okay.
And then we'll continue to meet, obviously, all through the academic year. Yeah.
So because you're in contact with all 15 presidents, you've got your finger right on exactly what's happening with community colleges. Where do you see them going in the next few years?
Well, I think they're making a tremendous difference now. We have 156,000 students that are attending Massachusetts community colleges. That's more than half the students in all our public colleges and universities in Massachusetts. That's UMass system and the state university system. We have that number of students in the community college system. Where I think they're going is that we're what's happening right now, right? Right now we're seeing what we're hearing in the political world, right, is we're seeing the disruption in jobs and what's happening with folks. What we've seen in the last election cycle was people were very unhappy that they felt they were left behind in the economic recovery, if there was one, but they really feel that they're not getting, the American dream that we all fought about. What the community colleges are, they provide that vehicle for everyone. What we see in the future is that folks need to be trained and then retrained again. The economy and our technology and everything is moving so quickly that what we know today is going to be different tomorrow. So we train workers, we train folks that people think of as college students, the 18 to 22-year-olds. We educate them, but our average age is about 27.
Really?
And we're probably going to see that. I expect we're going to see that age creep up as time goes on, because everyone needs to be trained in these new technologies or whatever it is. The world's changing so fast. And what we needed to do for work before is very different. I'm on my third or fourth career.
Yes.
And as a baby boomer, that's a little unusual. But the generations that are behind us, I heard some statistic like they're going to have a new career every 2 years. So and that dramatic change is a result of what's happening in society. And the community colleges are poised to really educate that workforce in that very changing environment. So I think we're right at the front edge of what's happening in higher education.
Has enrollment dropped in community colleges across the Commonwealth? And if it has, what is the reason for that, do you think? Or is it just pure demographics, or are there other reasons?
There's two major reasons. One is that, like I just talked about, how community colleges train the workforce.
Yes.
Right now we have a very low unemployment rate, so people aren't feeling like they need to be trained, right? Because they got jobs. So as the economy is very strong, there's not as big a demand for community colleges, so that causes a drop in enrollment. But the counter to that is when times get really bad and unemployment is high, we see people flooding to the community colleges because they need to be trained in new skills and have new ways to make money. So as the economy drops, the population, the student population comes up. The other piece that I'm sure you're aware of is that there's a huge drop in the demographic of the 18 to 22-year-olds that's already here. And that's what we're seeing, like the pressure of, I'm sure you're aware of the private colleges that closed in Massachusetts. And part of it is because of that resultant demographic that's really dropped off.
Okay.
So we have the drop off in the demographic plus the strong economy, which has caused a lower enrollment for us now. But as we project out, the expectation is that drop in the demographic is not going to affect the community colleges because of the reason that workers need to be trained throughout their lifetime. So it's not like we're only serving an 18 to 22-year-old population. We're serving everybody at this point.
Okay. One of the things that I was able to do in this year's budget is to get an earmark for about $100,000 for a study for a STEM building at Middlesex Community College. Do you find that STEM is the STEM curriculum is a lot larger part of the population than it was, or is it still liberal arts?
I can't really answer where that is. STEM is hugely important.
Yes.
And I really want to thank you for your leadership in this for public higher education, not just for Middlesex Community College, but for all the work you're doing in your leadership in the Senate. It makes a difference to have senators that are really engaged in this process, so we appreciate that. The work that we do, STEM is hugely important, and a lot of folks, like I said, come to community colleges to get the skills necessary to move up. Train nurses, firefighters, police officers, to give them that technical training to move up. STEM is critically important. Nurses, health technician, and all that, hugely important. And you can make good money. Like the community colleges, you can go take a few classes, get a certificate, come out, and get a good paying job.
That's what I think. In my district, there are a lot of high school graduates that won't go to a four-year school, that don't have any interest in that. But if they can get a good two-year education or training in a STEM discipline, then they can still land themselves with a good paying job and do a lot better than if they didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that myself even before I was in this position. I have a community college. We all have community colleges in our districts and our regions. But I see that the programs that are there, you can just take a few classes, come out, and really make reasonable money.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference. And I think that's part of what we do, is we really open that opportunity up for everybody. But you also mentioned the liberal arts. One of the things that's hugely important for the community colleges, and this is the dad speaking, one of my sons went to community college, and at the time he was there, it was $5,000 a year. Now it's probably inched up, probably on an average about $6,000 a year, as compared to a private tuition that's $50,000 a year. Or this is the most affordable education, and what the programs that we offer through the community colleges throughout Massachusetts is, you go there for 2 years, you graduate, you have automatic admission to the state universities or UMass system. So it's a great opportunity, and if you're thinking about the cost of higher education, that's the way to go. And I have 4 kids.
Right.
And what I know now, I wish I knew then.
Yeah, right.
Because it's a big deal. Not only is it the education is affordable, but the quality is there. For one of my sons, it got my son completely on track where he wasn't before.
Yes.
And he's really successful. He ended up with a bachelor's degree and now works for Verizon. So we see from my own perspective, I see,
Right.
the quality and the price point that really makes a difference. That sometimes parents don't think about that, students don't think about that, but we're a great option that we want people to consider us number one and not think of us as a fallback.
Right. I think, one of the things that people take pride in Lowell, in the greater Lowell area, is that you can go to Lowell High School, take some courses at Middlesex while you're there, so that you get some credits going in, then do 2 years at Middlesex, transfer to the University of Massachusetts in Lowell, and get a bachelor's degree for $40,000 or thereabouts, which is in the marketplace that's a good deal, and certainly later on, as I think many people are finding out, as far as student loan debt, that's a lot less student loan debt than a lot of people have
Absolutely.
today. Yeah.
Absolutely. And with that point you brought up, I think some folks aren't aware, and if they have students in high school, the opportunity to take college classes while in high school is a great opportunity, whether it's to save money, really get a jump ahead on college before you get in. But one of the vehicles from a big public policy viewpoint is there's a lot of students who don't see themselves in college. Their parents may not have gone to college. They may come from a tough area, and they don't see themselves. They don't even understand what college is, and they don't think they can do college or be there or be successful. And this program allows those students to work, take college classes, get college credit. Once they do that, they say, hey, I can do this. And we see tremendous success for these students, really moving these students through the system and giving them a huge opportunity.
Does every community college have a STEM Starter Academy? Is that something that exists everywhere, or?
I can't. Like I said, I've been here 4 months.
Yeah,
I know that it's. I know we do have those, and a lot of the STEM Starter Academy is to reach students, low-income students, students of color, to really bring them into the STEM field. I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's everywhere or not.
Yeah.
But it's been a great program, and we're seeing great results from that.
Okay. I don't know if we have it at Middlesex or not either, but it does seem like it's a good program and maybe something that will grow within the community college system as the years go by. What, having served on or chaired the committee on higher education and in your role now, what have you learned about community colleges that maybe you didn't know before that's different and maybe striking for you?
I guess I've learned a whole lot. One is that we have 156,000 students, as I said, and the difference it makes in people's lives. I think I did hear those stories as chair. One of the phrases that I heard as chair that I had never heard before was people would refer to themselves as the first generation out of poverty, and they would attribute that to college or community college or public college. That's a powerful statement, that I'm the first generation, so essentially we've cut poverty by education.
Yes.
And to me, that's the biggest part of what we do and what this work is to be able to transform lives in this hugely powerful generational way, because once you've made that split, the generations that follow are better off than would have been, for sure. I think the other piece that I've learned since I've had this role is the challenges we have with money and funding. And if you look at 2001's funding from our state legislature, we're about $2,300 less funding if you take out, put in inflation as a factor. And where that $2,300 has to come from is our students, because there's nowhere else for it to come from. We have some studies done that for every even, we were doing increments of $100. For every $100, the cost goes up, we lose a certain number of students. So we lose the opportunity for those students when we
Okay.
do that.
So it just becomes unaffordable for them at that point.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The other side of this too is that when we educate students, we think about it as I think a lot of people think about, well, you're educating students, it's like a private right? That
Right.
the person benefits, but that's where all the benefit is. The reality is, you well know, is that the more educated people you have in your community, the stronger your economy is. This grows the economy for everyone. And what we see in Massachusetts too is that we need a certain percentage of people in the population to have degrees so they can get jobs in these great places that are coming, like here in Lowell and across the state. They need an educated workforce. And if we're not providing that educated workforce because we've outpriced the cost of education that they can't get it, those companies are going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that could be devastating to the Massachusetts economy.
It absolutely would. I think one of the big pluses for Massachusetts is the schools, the quality of the schools that we have here. Certainly Cambridge, more than any other community in the United States of America, benefits from that. Everybody would like to be Cambridge.
Right. But it makes it's huge. You know, what we're seeing in Cambridge is the same. You talk about STEM Starter Academy, you're talking about students that are getting that training, quality training, that are able to jump into these jobs all across the state. And, you know, power of Lowell and the rebirth of Lowell.
Yes.
You know, that's what it's about, the educated workforce. I remember in the legislature too, they used to talk, so a few reps would talk about, you know, some states have oil and some states have, you know, all sorts of attributes.
Right.
We don't have anything.
Right.
We get bad weather, but we have an educated workforce. That's why our economy's strong, and that's why all these companies come here and want to locate here.
Yeah.
You know, we get it. We don't want to kill that. We need to be funding higher education so that we can continue to grow our economy.
Maybe you've answered this already in certain ways, but you're in your position. You're in a position to be able to sort of steer where community colleges go in the future. And so what are your goals for, during your time in this position now as the director? What would you like to accomplish, or where would you like community colleges to be when it's time for you to go to your fourth profession?
I think that the biggest thing for me is the opportunity that exists for the people here in Massachusetts, right? We're open enrollment. That means anybody who graduated high school can just sign up and go to these schools, take classes here. And I think my biggest role is to make sure that everybody has that opportunity and access, no matter what their income is,
Right.
or where they came from. And that, in order to do that, I think we need to be better funded. That's what I see my role is.
Mm-hmm.
And the funding is not a selfish funding to say we need more money. It's we need to educate the Massachusetts workforce. We need to give opportunity to individuals in Massachusetts that they can, live out the dreams that they want to do. That they, whether it's just financial dreams or it's dreams to be, the poet laureate, or to be the inventor of some great invention that we can't even imagine right now.
Right.
That's what I see my role, is to just make sure that every student in Massachusetts, every person in Massachusetts has this opportunity for an education. And that's how I see it.
Okay. And do you think community colleges are going in that direction? Are you happy with the way that it's been going, aside from the funding, which probably is never going to be enough, right?
Right. They're doing a phenomenal job, and I had already been to a lot of the campuses as chair, and now they're just living in Massachusetts, my whole life. But I'm going out to all the individual campuses, and I'm seeing spectacular things that are happening all across our campuses. And I'll just use one example too that just sort of comes to mind, is that I was at Roxbury Community College that has a nursing program. They have some medical programs, and they bring me through to see what they have, and it's a state-of-the-art facility with, I don't know what they call these, like mannequins that are in the beds. and it's a little creepy to me.
Yeah.
But it provides great education. But one of the things that struck me is this. I had been through the tour of UMass new medical center when they opened a new building at UMass Medical. It was exactly the same. So the quality of the education that folks can get at the community college, it's the same technology that they're using at the medical school.
Right.
So there's great stuff happening there.
Well, good. Well, listen, I think you're doing a great job so far. I want to thank you for coming up to Lowell, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for your support
Okay,
of public higher ed.
Okay,
Nice to
thank
spend
you.
time with you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That will be, again, this is Ed Kennedy, State Senator, and this is the Beacon Hill Buzz. And until next time, we'll see you later. Have a good day.